I'm going to do a quick presentation of something I've done in the past multiple times at the request of Keith about the value of writing for your career. But I'm going to condense it to 10 minutes with a little bit of a twist in regards to ChatGPT. So will ChatGPT replace me and my co-author and write the next CWNA study guide? Well, first of all, there he is, and we've had a lot of fun at my co-author's expense because he never comes to these events because he's rich and he goes on these expensive vacations. But we now know the real reasons he's never here, and that is because he's a AI chatbot. Now, that being said, writing has been a personal journey for me. I've done it now for over 18 years, and it's been the best thing for my career. So. And I want to reemphasize what I've said before in front of this group and also in Phoenix about how valuable technical writing is for your career. And it's three main points. Just in the aspect of Wi-Fi or any kind of technology, it will boost your knowledge. Actually taking the time to write will boost your knowledge. It will also advance your career. I can attest to that. I've sold many tens of thousands of books. Everybody says, oh, you must be rich. I make $1 a book. But that book has been my calling card for many, many years and has been the number one booster of my career. And the most important thing, too, as you're writing and advancing your career, you can also share that knowledge with others. So just to summarize those three things, once again, it will boost your career. Trust me. Take the time to write. Your career, I learned this a long time ago from somebody at Cisco who told me that to move up the org in Cisco, if you wrote an internal white paper, you'll actually get promoted within Cisco. And that's how I actually started writing some white papers when I was self-employed. Just put them on the internet, and boom, people started finding out about me. And then I started writing books. So I would encourage you to do the things. There's so many more outlets to do writing now, and get yourself out there. Additionally, it will boost your knowledge. It goes back to what Keith was saying earlier, right? You know, how many times have you written a blog and then 5 years later you go and you search and you for an answer to a question, you go, oh yeah, I wrote about that. There's other ways that you can. There's other form factors in terms of communications like podcast and video, and those are all great too, but it's not the same as writing. When you sit down and write, it actually makes you think. And if you're writing and thinking, it will boost your knowledge. And the most important thing of all, too, is share the knowledge. So this is one of my favorite quotes from one of the founding fathers of the United States, Benjamin Franklin: an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. So, whatever think about this convention, okay? Think about what we saw this morning from Jim Palmer and Peter. I know I learned things, okay? Everybody, and I write. I've written this big fat book along with Westcott. Truth be told, a lot of the real world information that is in that book came from this convention over the last 10 years, from learning from other people. So share the knowledge. It will pay the best interest. So just do it. Go buy a typewriter or a keyboard and start writing. Go write a book, a white paper, a blog. Do it. So let's put a little twist on this as I have 5 more minutes. Okay? ChatGPT, without a doubt, is an inflection point in our society. Much like when Steve Jobs took the hula hoop and he put the laptop through it, and now we had wireless networking. It's an inflection point, and I can tell you right now, using generative AI and using this tool when it debuted almost a year ago is, to me, nothing short of amazing. And I use it in my job every day, and I say it's probably made me at least 20% more efficient, okay? Now, that being said, do you want to use ChatGPT to do your writing for you? Well, let's talk about that. We already saw this slide from UC before. Using ChatGPT to do your research, it may not give you the right answer, okay? So you can use it a little bit to do research, but don't rely on what it tells you. It's like the old adage, do you believe everything you read on the internet? Okay? So always back it up and double check any kind of fact. So using it for research is not how I really use ChatGPT. You could use it to, so the next question I always get is, can you use it to write an entire blog? And unfortunately, some people are doing that. So can you imagine Jim Palmer? He writes these blogs that are like 20,000 words. Can you imagine trying to write a Jim Palmer blog, 20,000 words? Well, first of all, ChatGPT, I think, will only write a 500-word blog. But trust me, it'll sound like it's written by a machine. Okay? The way to use ChatGPT when you're writing is it can be really good for technical editing, or maybe doing some rewording. So I do a lot of tech editing and for a lot of other people's content too. And instead of feeding the whole blog or the whole document, I'll just feed in a few sentences at a time sometimes that I'm not comfortable with and say, can you suggest 2 or 3 different ways to write this or rewrite this? Or how about this? I'll put in a prompt that says something to the effect of, can you just lightly edit this, or very lightly edit this, or in this tone? Probably the thing I do the most is this, and I'm very guilty about this, is people have a tendency of mixing tense, like past and present, and you should always try to write it in present tense if possible. So I've used that to save me a lot of time where I've written something, I'm mixing my tense, and I'll just say, can you do me a favor and change this to present tense? So let's have a little fun here and just show you a few other things. So I did play around, and I wanted to see how well ChatGPT would do things like things I've written in the past in the CWNA study guide. So I wrote this paragraph about virtual carrier sense, 130 words, and then I asked the ChatGPT to do the same thing. And it was okay, but it did also tell us that there's a protocol called the Wi-Fi protocol, which I was not aware of that protocol until now. So you have to be conversational with ChatGPT. So I said, can you take it and write it in 130 words with a little bit more technical detail? And it did do so, and it got better. Okay, so the more conversational you are with it, the better it'll get. And then I asked it to explain the pseudo-random backoff timer, and it did a pretty good job. But then I've experimented with some other things, and it didn't do such a good job. Okay, so bottom line is I was impressed with it. I also took some of the test questions in my book and ran ChatGPT to see what kind of how well it would do, like on a CWNA exam, and it got about a 72, so ChatGPT is a CWNA now. But let's take this a step further, and let's just say I'm going to break my cardinal rule, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write a short blog, like write me a 500-word blog about WIP's air termination of Wi-Fi clients using WPA3 security in the tone of Peter McKenzie. And it did okay, you know, it wrote it okay, but it really didn't get to what I was getting for. So I asked it another question. So you're telling me that WIPs can air terminate Wi-Fi clients using WPA3 security with management frame protection? And if you dig into it, it basically says, no, you're not. It can't really do that because WPA3, it won't work. Didn't really do a good job, but it said, no, it can't do that. So that's not really true, or at least it is true, supposedly, but anybody that attended the Extreme event last night saw Peter do something kind of weird when he was playing around, and he actually was able to air terminate some WPA3 clients. So I'm just going to do this, see what I haven't done this, I just want to see what ChatGPT will say. This is not true. Last night I watched Peter McKenzie air terminate an Android device and an iPhone device using WPA3 security with MFP. It was magical. So let's take this and let's post it in here. I have no idea what it's going to say. And we'll see what it says. Peter McKenzie is indeed an expert in the field, and if he is demonstrating the ability to air terminate WPA3 secure devices with MAP using WIPs, And then it goes on and on and on. But I guess it's going to write a novel here. But bottom line, it's saying that Peter McKenzie is a lot smarter than ChatGPT. So that's kind of the point. So, and by the way, we'll talk more about that as we research it, but we think it was a driver problem with the clients. So to conclude, it's always good to have a second set of eyes. ChatGPT can be a second set of eyes, but it'll never replace human beings. And with that, the final slide is this. Will ChatGPT write the next CWNA study guide? Now, obviously, the answer is no. And the one more question is, will David Coleman and David Westcott write an updated version of the CWNA study guide? Yeah, not anytime soon. So with that, maybe in 2 years. But with that, thank you very much, and great being here.